from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 6.
I'm very concerned about it, especially people who haven't figured out how their reproductive health is doing.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Or you or someone that you know rushing to get birth control before Inauguration Day. Women's reproductive rights and the Affordable Care Act have all been hallmarks of this election season.
Now, the appearance across social media is that many women are rushing to get birth control that will outlive a Trump presidency. Valley News Team's Bradford Eric explains what the fear is and why many women could have longer than they think before the repeal legislation gets passed.
It's been a staple of Trump's campaign, repealing the Affordable Care Act, and it's part of his plan for the first 100 days in office. But the fear is that FDA-approved birth control, provided with no co-payment or co-insurance when in network under the ACA, will then skyrocket in cost.
His views on the birth control would affect some women who aren't able to afford birth control, which on the Obamacare, that was given to them free.
After the second debate and Donald Trump made his stance very clear on women's reproductive health, I immediately went in and I got an IUD because I'm concerned about not being able to pay for birth control after he takes office.
Manning says she's talked with other women in her family who share the same concerns. They join hundreds of thousands more women who've taken to the internet, searching sites like Google for the terms IUD, birth control, and Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood clinics nationwide report they're seeing an increase in women calling to schedule appointments for things like IUDs since the election was called Tuesday night. And they also issued a statement saying in part they've been around for 100 years and they won't back down or stop fighting to make sure people have access to the care they need. The thing is, repealing the ACA likely won't happen at all come Inauguration Day, and Congress and the president-elect have yet to agree on any alternative. Bradford Eric, Valley News Live.
We have attached information related to birth control options online. Just visit this story at valleynewslive.com.
Investigators are trying to figure out the cause of today's train derailment in Ellendale, Minnesota. At least 4 cars of a Union Pacific train jumped the track, and at least one was carrying liquid petroleum gas, which is very flammable. At least one of the cars was reportedly spewing gas into the air. Now, there are no reports of any injuries, and people living in that area had to be evacuated to a nearby church. Part of a nearby highway was also shut down.
The North Dakota Highway Patrol is trying to figure out what caused a driver to roll his pickup on I-29 early this morning right by the tri-level. Emergency crews were called out around 1:30 a.m. There's no word yet on the condition of the driver, but scanner traffic indicated that the driver called in the crash and had to be helped out of the pickup. 2 teenagers were taken to the hospital after a rollover crash near Wahpeton yesterday. The Richland County Sheriff's Office says it happened about 5 p.m. on a minimum maintenance road just west of town. The driver, 17-year-old Sean Worcester of Wahpeton, and his passenger, 19-year-old Brandon Worcester of Fairmount, were both hurt, but deputies don't believe their injuries are life-threatening. The cause of the crash remains under investigation.
Here's a look at this week's Valley's Most Wanted. Fargo police say 34-year-old Eugene Quinnett is wanted for a probation violation on felony drug charges. You're asked to call local law enforcement if you have any information on Quinnett's whereabouts.
We're starting the weekend on a quiet note, and that's not a bad thing. Hutch, how's tonight looking?
Well, we saw temperatures a little bit cooler than those we've experienced the rest of this work week. We were in the 40s for the entire afternoon. Now we're quickly seeing temperatures fall, but we expect the weather to remain quiet. Satellite shows just a few clouds northwest Minnesota, already in the 30s for much of the valley, including Bemidji, Fargo, all the way down to Aberdeen. 30s with gusty south winds at times will be the rule overnight here in Fargo and Grand Forks. Not as much wind, but still 30s in the northern valley as well. Details on your weekend outlook. It does look like the warm weather returns. We'll have details also on a chance of some flaky weather in the forecast. Details in a minute.
All right. Thank you, Hutch. And remember, you can stay up to date on the weather conditions where you are anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just download the Storm Team Weather app to get the latest weather conditions and even follow the radar live. Search VNL Weather in the App Store.
Today, America is honoring the men and women who have served this country. This morning, people gathered at a Veterans Day ceremony on the Veterans Memorial Bridge in downtown Fargo. Mayor Tim Mahoney not only thanked the veterans for their service and sacrifice, but also their families. Mayor Mahoney mentioned the freedom of speech, referencing an anti-Trump demonstration held on the bridge last night. This was one of several events and commemorations throughout the valley.
In Grand Forks, people gathered at the county courthouse for a special ceremony, standing together on this Veterans Day after what's been a contentious week in our country. The chaplain of the Disabled American Veterans reminded all of us to let our children know what this day is all about.
Our children must know who they are and what they did and why they did it. To do anything less will be a disservice to the sacrifice and their memories.
And over in Minnesota, the Missing Man ceremony that originated during the Vietnam War was held at the University of Minnesota Crookston to symbolize all those vets who were captured or remain missing in action.
On this Veterans Day, you have to wonder how North Dakota vets are feeling after Measure 4 was defeated by a large margin. It would have raised the tobacco tax to give funding to programs for our veterans.
Valley News Team's Cornelius Hawker went out to one of the many places veterans are gathering today, showing us how, despite the election results, they vow to make sure their brothers and sisters in arms will be taken care of.
It's a celebration at VFW Post 762 for those who served our country. And though the atmosphere is festive here, many of the veterans can't believe Measure 4, something several veteran organizations in North Dakota supported, fell just a few days ago during the general election.
The veterans were strongly in favor of the Measure 4 tobacco tax, mainly for our veterans.
Measure 4 would have increased the tax on tobacco, with some of that money going to help organizations and programs that help our aging vet population.
And that's not only a burden by the state, but our nation as well.
But just like the beat goes on, so do our veterans, who say they will continue to seek funding for programs to help those who put their lives on the line for our freedoms.
Both our national legislators and our state legislators, we hope, will step up and fill those gaps and adequately fund those programs.
Cornelius Hawker, Valley News Live.
President-elect Trump says that taking care of our veterans will be a top priority for his administration.
A warning before you start holiday shopping online. Cybersecurity experts are saying there has been a sudden explosion of fake apps trying to steal your information. The apps look like they're legit, but they steal your credit card information before you realize that they're fake. We spoke with a local expert who has red flags to watch out for.
Apps with no reviews, which means either no one's downloaded it or never ever heard of it, or it's too new to actually have any reviews. Apps that just, I don't know, it's kind of a gut feeling for me, like looking at the icon. It doesn't look as nice as you think it should, or there's spelling errors.
Burgess recommends sticking with major retailers this shopping season, and if you want to shop through mobile apps, download it through their legitimate website.
Grammy Award-winning country music singer Miranda Lambert is coming to Grand Forks. She's bringing her Highway Vagabond tour to the Ralph Engelstad Arena on Saturday, March 4th. The show is at 7:30 in the evening. Rising singer Aubrey Sellers and the band Old Dominion will join Lambert on the tour and open up for the show. Tickets go on sale November 18th at 10 in the morning. Prices range from $39 to $54.
Some of the best stories involve kids in the area. Well, later on Valley News Live at 6, how students were helping others locally today.
And blue skies for our Veterans Day today, and the sunset was gorgeous. We saw temperatures cool with highs in the 40s. Average highs are in the upper 30s and low 40s. Details on a weekend warm-up are next.
You're watching Valley News Live on TV, online, and on the go. Always on, wherever you are, whenever you need to know. Valley News Live.